The ambulance brought him in without a name. No wallet, no phone, no identification, just a heartbeat and a mystery. In the ICU, nurse Linda Turner watched the monitors fight to keep him alive. A John Doe with no past.
No one has claimed you. Are you hiding or just lost?
The doctors made a choice, a medically induced coma. Without it, the swelling in his brain would prove fatal.
No fingerprints match. No facial recognition hit. He's a ghost.
The computer returned the same result every time. No match. He was truly unknown.
I'll be your voice, even if you can't answer me.
The coma stretched into months. Linda never stopped talking. She read him newspapers, told him her secrets. Outside his room, the corridor remained silent, waiting for a name. And the man who had no past held a secret that would change everything. Her morning break became his. Linda would wheel the chair close, pour her coffee, and take his silent hand.
Morning, John Doe. Still nobody knows who you are. But I do know you are not alone. Don't let him die like Daddy, without a hand to hold.
She read him the New York Times, front page to obituaries. Her voice filled the silence with ordinary things.
Dow's up 200 points. Your portfolio's doing fine, mister. Maybe you can hear the numbers. Maybe that's the one language you understand.
Shift after shift, she told him about her grandkids, her mortgage, her life. He became her silent confessor.
Marcus hit his first home run yesterday. Liliana lost her first tooth. The world keeps spinning, even in here.
The clock on the wall counted the hours. He never blinked. She never blinked. She never stopped. 8 months passed. His identity remained a locked door, and Linda had the only key. The seasons turned. Snow melted. Leaves grew. But inside room 312, time stood still. 3 times the doctors tried to wake him. 3 times his body convulsed. His vitals crashed, and they were forced to deepen the coma again.
Don't you dare give up. I've got too much invested in you.
Hospital administration saw only a bed occupied by a ghost. They wanted to transfer him to a long-term care ward.
He stays. I know his heartbeat, his breathing rhythms. He's not a case file. He's my patient. Moving him is abandonment, not care. I won't let it happen.
Dr. Rosen backed her reluctantly. The bed stayed. Linda had bought him more time. She picked up the newspaper again, as if nothing had happened, and read him the stock listings.
I can't save everyone, but I can save you from being alone.
8 months in, and the nameless man still guarded his secret. But the quiet was about to break. It was Tuesday in August, the end of Linda's 3rd double shift. Exhaustion dragged at her, but she still went to his room.
Mortgage is killing me. 7%. If I could pay it off, I'd retire tomorrow, but I'll be working forever. Liliana graduated kindergarten. Marcus is starting 3rd grade. I missed the ceremony. Too many shifts. They'll remember me as the grandma who was never there, just like my own kids do.
She had poured her life into this room. He knew her secrets, her regrets. He was the most present person in her world.
Good night, whoever you are.
She kissed his forehead, the same ritual she'd kept for 8 months, and turned to leave, and then his eyelids moved. A flutter so small she almost mistook it for a shadow.
Was that real? Don't let me be dreaming. Not after all this time.
After 8 months of silence, the man with no name was trying to open his eyes. His eyes opened fully, pale blue, unfocused, but seeing. Linda froze, not breathing. The room became only the 2 of them.
He's really awake. 8 months, and he's looking right at me.
His gaze dropped to her name tag. His lips parted with terrible effort. She leaned in, ear almost touching his mouth.
Catherine Whitfield.
Then he forced out 14 digits, a string of numbers, each one a victory of will. Linda scribbled them onto the first paper she found.
Catherine Whitfield. And these numbers, why would a dying man choose this as his only words?
His eyes closed. Every ounce of energy spent. He never opened them again. Over 46 hours, his heart slowly wound down. Dr. Rosen met Linda in the corridor, his face heavy. The John Doe had died without another word, taking his history with him. Only Linda knew what he had whispered. The slip of paper in her pocket felt like a key without a lock, a mystery now entirely hers to unravel. The nameless man had finally spoken, but his dying whisper raised more questions than any identity ever could. Days after his death, Linda couldn't shake the whisper. She replayed it in her mind, the numbers and name like a last will.
He chose me. He looked at my name tag and gave me the only thing he had left. I have to find out why.
She brought the slip to Dr. Rosen, hoping he'd see significance. He handed it back with clinical indifference.
Linda, his brain was swollen. Random neurons fired. It meant nothing.
It wasn't random. He looked me in the eye. He knew exactly what he was saying.
That night, she typed Catherine Whitfield into her home computer. A result appeared, a 78-year-old retired teacher in Queens.
That's a real person, not a hallucination, not random.
Then she examined the numbers. The format was unmistakable, a Swiss bank account, likely private banking. She had seen similar strings in financial crime documentaries. The next day, she went to Sarah Hayes, the hospital's social worker. If anyone could help navigate this, it was her.
A dying man gave me these. I think they're real, and I think they belong to her.
The call lasted 20 minutes. Catherine Whitfield, suspicious at first, finally said yes. Come to Queens. Linda took the bus the next afternoon, clutching the slip of paper. The house was small, with a garden full of roses.
I am Linda. I was his nurse. He spoke your name.
David, but he disappeared in 1987. They told me he was dead.
She opened a dusty album. The photo of the young man matched the gaunt face Linda had watched for 8 months.
Is he? Is my brother really gone?
He died 2 days after he woke, but he wanted you to know. He came back for you.
Catherine's hand trembled as she reached for a DNA kit Linda had brought from the hospital.
You'll know for sure, won't you, my David?
Linda swabbed the inside of her cheek. The results would take days, but the hope was already a kind of answer.
David uncovered fraud. The company was bleeding millions, and he was the only one who wouldn't take a cut. He testified. 3 days later, he vanished. Police said he'd been killed, but I couldn't accept it.
Instead, he reappeared in Geneva. New identity, new documents, always looking over his shoulder. The Swiss account became his insurance. Every deposit a brick in a wall against the past.
He called me in 2005, told me he loved me, begged me not to tell a soul. I kept his secret.
In 2025, fragile and ill, he bought a plane ticket. He wanted to make things right. The cab dropped him in Soho. A drunk driver ran a red light. Not a hit, an accident.
After 38 years, he was 3 miles from my door, and I never got to see him alive.
He gave me your name and the numbers. He wanted you to know. He made it back.
The DNA would confirm it, but the account, that was a legacy still waiting to be opened. The DNA results came back a week later. A 99.9% match. John Doe was David Whitfield, missing 38 years. Catherine claimed his body and arranged a small funeral. Only a handful of old friends and Linda attended. After the service, they returned to Catherine's living room. The slip of paper with the numbers lay on the table like a map to the past. Catherine's lawyer contacted the Geneva bank. It took weeks, but finally, a reply came from a Mr. Hoffman.
The account has been dormant for over a decade. The balance is $4.3 million.
Catherine inherited the entirety of David's hidden life. She held the document, trembling.
He lived like a fugitive, and he saved all this for me. For what?
For you to have a choice, to live without worry. That's what he wanted.
The weight of the money settled over Catherine. It was a gift, but it felt like a responsibility she wasn't sure she wanted, and the biggest decision of her life was still ahead.
Linda, I've been thinking. You gave David 8 months of your life. I want to give you 1/3, $1.4 million. Because you were the only person who spoke to him for 8 months.
I was just doing my job. Catherine, I can't take your money.
It's not payment, it's gratitude. You are the reason he didn't die alone.
This money could pay off my mortgage, but accepting feels like selling something sacred.
Take your time, but I won't change my mind.
The grandkids' college fund. A real retirement. Everything I've ever wanted. But can I accept such a gift?
Linda stood, her heart racing. She thanked Catherine and walked out, needing to think. The offer hung in the air, a weight that followed her home. In her kitchen, she stared at the bills on the table. The numbers blurred. The offer would change everything. Yet it felt like a trespass.
Is it wrong to accept? Or is it wrong to refuse the only gift a dying man could give?
Desperate for clarity, Linda sought Sarah Hayes in her office. She needed someone to tell her she wasn't crazy.
It's her money, legally and morally. You didn't ask for it. She offered. Accepting is not unethical.
Catherine gathered her children, Michael and Ellen, to share her decision. The warm conversation turned cold in an instant.
You are giving over $1 million to a woman you just met? She could be a con artist, Mom.
The next day, Michael and Ellen didn't wait. They found Linda in the hospital cafeteria, their voices rising above the clatter.
You think you deserve her money just because you sat with a coma patient. That was your job.
Catherine arrived, breathless. She had been called by a coworker who witnessed the scene. She stood between her children and Linda.
Stop it. She saved David from dying alone. She's the reason we even know what happened to him. This money is my choice.
Linda stood frozen, a dozen eyes on her. The word con artist echoed in her ears. She had never been so publicly shamed. The damage was done. Catherine's children stalked out, leaving Linda and Catherine in a silence that was worse than their shouting. The hospital cafeteria scene reached administration. Within 48 hours, Linda was summoned to a formal ethics review.
A complaint was filed. The allegation is that you contacted a patient's family for personal financial gain.
I followed protocol. I handed the note to Sarah Hayes, our social worker. Everything went through her.
That's correct. Linda acted under hospital guidance at every step. There was no HIPAA violation.
The review panel conferred for 20 minutes. The conclusion was unanimous. No ethics violation, no disciplinary action.
You are cleared, Linda, but be careful. Public perception can be unkind.
Linda walked out of the conference room with her job intact, but a stain on her reputation that no ruling could erase.
20 years, I've given this place. And now they look at me like a vulture.
Sarah found her later, sitting in the empty chapel. The ordeal had taken more than she wanted to admit. The ethical review was over, but the wound was fresh. Accepting Catherine's gift now felt like walking through fire. The stress of the conflict was too much. Catherine Whitfield collapsed at home, clutching her chest. Paramedics rushed her back to Mount Sinai. Dr. Rosen stabilized her. A mild heart attack. She was placed in the same ICU where David had lain months before.
Not her too. Haven't we lost enough already?
Linda took the assignment. She insisted on being Catherine's nurse, as if repaying a debt. That afternoon, Michael and Ellen arrived, their faces pale. They saw Linda adjusting their mother's oxygen, speaking softly.
We've been such fools. You are not a con artist. You are an angel.
I am sorry for the things I said. You've shown more care than we have.
They stood together, the broken family and the nurse who had bridged their worlds. Catherine watched, tears in her eyes.
I won't change my mind. The money is for her and for David's memory. Now, don't argue with a sick woman.
Linda held Catherine's hand. The gift was still there, but now it felt less like a transaction and more like a legacy. Late that night, Linda spread her bills and bank statements across the kitchen table. She circled the mortgage balance, $347,912.
If I pay that off and nothing more, I can retire. The rest belongs to David's memory.
The next morning, she returned to Catherine's room at Mount Sinai and sat at her bedside.
Catherine, I'll accept your gift, but only enough to clear my mortgage. The rest should become a scholarship in David's name.
A scholarship. Oh, Linda, that's exactly what he would have wanted. You've given me the perfect answer.
Catherine called her lawyer. Papers were drafted. Linda signed them with a steady hand.
I am not taking more than I need. This way. It's not charity. It's an exchange.
The document transferred $347,912 to Linda's account and the remaining $1.05 million irrevocably to a new trust. As the ink dried, Linda felt something she hadn't felt in years. Hope was no longer a luxury. The decision was made. She had taken exactly what she needed and given the rest a purpose. She logged into her bank account and made the final transfer. The mortgage balance dropped to zero with one click.
I own my home. After 30 years, it's really mine. No bank can take it away.
The next day, she drafted her retirement letter. 20 years of service distilled into a single page of gratitude. She walked into Dr. Rosen's office and placed the envelope on his desk. He read it with a soft smile.
20 years. You've been the heart of this ICU. We'll miss you, Linda.
Sarah intercepted her in the corridor, pulling her into a tight hug. Word had spread quickly. Catherine, now discharged, met with Mr. Hoffman to set up the David Whitfield Memorial Scholarship. That evening, over tea in her garden, she shared the scholarship details with Linda.
David's name will live on. Every scholarship recipient will know about the man who dared to do right.
Linda's resignation was official. Her final shift loomed, but for the first time, the future held more peace than fear. The hospital conference room filled with reporters. At the podium, Catherine and Linda prepared to give David Whitfield back his name.
David waited 38 years to be known. This scholarship ensures he is remembered, not as a fugitive, but as a hero.
I just did my job. But I am proud that his memory will help so many future nurses.
She gave him dignity when he had no one else. That's something money can't buy.
In the audience, Michael and Ellen watched with quiet respect, their earlier anger replaced by gratitude. Catherine presented the ceremonial check, $2.1 million to the Hospital Foundation for the Scholarship Fund. The room erupted in applause. David Whitfield, missing for 38 years, was finally home. Linda stepped back from the microphone, her heart full. She had given a voice to the voiceless. Afterward, Catherine and Linda sat together as the noise faded. Catherine squeezed Linda's hand, her eyes glistening. The David Whitfield Memorial Scholarship was real. His name would live on in every nurse it trained. She paused outside the room where David Whitfield had lain. The bed was empty, now, made fresh, but she could still hear his whisper.
You gave me the ending, David. I just had to listen.
She made her rounds, touching every room. Each patient got her full attention, as if she could pour 20 years into one shift. Her colleagues had planned a small surprise. A cake, a banner, and Sarah holding back tears.
There's a reason patients trusted you. You never forgot they were people, not conditions.
I just did what I'd want someone to do for my own family. Thank you for letting me.
She hugged Sarah, then each nurse, each aide, the staff that had become her second family. In the locker room, she hung her stethoscope on the hook for the last time. 20 years of listening to heartbeats. As the automatic doors slid open, she stepped into the sunlight, an ordinary woman who had held a stranger's secret and changed a family's legacy. The first morning of her new life, Linda slept until 9. No alarms, no rounds, just warm sunlight through the curtains.
No beeping monitors. No call lights. Just the sound of my own heartbeat.
That afternoon, she met her grandchildren at the park. They ran into her arms, shrieking with joy.
Grandma's all yours now. No more rushing back to the hospital.
Later, she visited Catherine. The garden was in bloom, and they sat with tea, the air fragrant.
You look 10 years younger. Retirement is good medicine.
We're bound by a man who spoke only once, but his words rebuilt both our lives.
She thought about volunteering at a free clinic, but not yet. For now, she just let herself be.
The mortgage is gone. The fear is gone. I am actually happy.
A stranger's goodbye had given her a new beginning, and Linda Turner finally knew peace. On a quiet morning, Linda drove to the cemetery. She carried a small bouquet and a copy of the New York Times.
Catherine is doing well. The scholarship already has its first applicants. You'd be proud.
She laid the Times on the grass, the same paper she had read aloud for 8 months. He never saw the headlines, but she never stopped.
Thank you, not just for the money, for giving me a reason when I had lost my own.
Catherine arrived without a word. Her hand found Linda's, and they stood shoulder to shoulder. They stared at the stone. No words were needed. The inscription said everything. David Whitfield, 1952 to 2025. Beloved brother, finally home.
You're home now, David, and so am I.
They remained like that for a long moment. Then Catherine squeezed Linda's hand. They turned and walked away, the newspaper rustling in the breeze. Behind them, David Whitfield was finally at peace. A year later, the David Whitfield Memorial Scholarship awarded its first full nursing scholarship to a young single mother from the Bronx. Linda and Catherine stood in the back, hands clasped, as the recipients spoke of second chances and the kindness of strangers.
David's 14 digits became a bridge that will carry others across the river he couldn't cross.
Afterward, they sat in Catherine's garden as evening fell. The roses were in bloom again.
He'd have loved this. You know, not the attention. Just knowing someone will remember his name for something good.
He'll be remembered by every nurse who walks across that stage. That's a legacy no one can take away.
Later, Linda walked alone on the beach. The city's lights flickered on across the water.
I used to think I'd die in debt, invisible. Now I know that the quietest kindness can echo the loudest.
The sky turned gold. Linda sat on a bench, watching the waves, a woman at peace with a life she had rebuilt. And somewhere, David Whitfield's whispered code had unlocked not just a fortune, but a future for those who would follow her footsteps. Months passed. Linda settled into the quiet rhythms of a life no longer measured by shifts.
These little faces, they'll never know hunger or worry the way I did.
Sometimes she visited the hospital, not as a nurse, but as a friend. The scholarship office displayed David's portrait.
You are still giving, David. Even now, you are still giving.
Her retirement wasn't an ending. It was the first chapter of a story she'd never planned.
All because I sat with a stranger. Because I didn't let him be alone.
The waves rolled in, timeless and steady, like the memory of a whispered number that became a gift.
Kindness is never wasted. It might take months, even years, but it echoes.
The city skyline stretched before her, a mosaic of stories. In one of them, a nurse and a John Doe had rewritten fate. And, somewhere, in a quiet cemetery, a tombstone read, David Whitfield, finally home, and finally at peace. One autumn afternoon, Linda sat on her porch, a book in her lap, the sound of her grandchildren playing in the yard.
This is what David gave me. Not the money, the space to breathe, to be present.
Her granddaughter climbed into her lap, and Linda wrapped her arms around the small, warm weight, closing her eyes. Later, Catherine visited, and they sat on the porch, teacups in hand, talking of ordinary things.
You know, I talk to him still. When I am in the garden, I feel like he's listening.
Me too. Every time I read the paper, I hear his whisper, the numbers, the name. It's like he never really left.
The night came, and Linda walked alone to the water's edge. The sky, a deep velvet scattered with stars.
A stranger came into my care with no past, and he gave me my future.
The city lights shimmered on the water. In a world that often forgets the invisible, one act of kindness had rippled across generations, and somewhere, far from the noise, a whisper still lingered. 14 digits and a name, a secret that became a legacy.